All right, some Nightwing movie news is coming at you, DC fans, right on the heels of some Nightwing TV news that we just got a little while ago. But here we go with the movies. Now, Chris McKay is reportedly going to be the director of the Nightwing film. Chris McKay also directed the very famous and very well-received Lego Batman movie, and he has a background in animation, but he hasn't really done, from what I can see, too much live action. So this is going to be interesting to see an animation director go to live action with the famous, the most famous sidekick of all time. For those of you who don't know, Nightwing's real name is Dick Grayson. He started out as Robin. He was the first Robin sidekick that Batman had, and the most famous still, even though we've had other Robins later. Dick Grayson is the most famous and the most popular. And even though he's the most famous sidekick and, Batman and Robin are iconic, we haven't seen Robin in that many Batman movies. And when we have, he either hasn't been explored on that much, or it's in a movie that people didn't like. Like there was Batman and Robin by Joel Schumacher, I think in the early 1990s or 1989 or something. People hated that movie. That was the movie that we had. That was the live action Batman movie that had Robin in it or Nightwing in it the most. And it wasn't that good in a lot of people's opinions. And other than that, we haven't gotten much about that. And even though DC announced a little while ago with their current DCEU iteration, they were going to do a Nightwing movie, not too many details have come out about it. And it wasn't even announced at San Diego Comic-Con in July this year when they listed all these movies that they were going to go in development soon. Nightwing wasn't on there. There was Batgirl, of course, and we all know Matt Reeves is going to direct The Batman starring Ben Affleck, but Nightwing it's been pretty silent on the Nightwing news front until last week. Chris McKay gave some lengthy quotes to Collider about what he plans on doing with the movie, and they are pretty informative about the direction and tone. I'm going to read one of them now and paraphrase the other. Here's one where he talks about what makes Robin and Nightwing unique as a character, and why that perspective will be great to bring into the cinematic, world. You always thought Robin was the dork and were like, I don't want to be like Robin. I don't want to play with Robin. I want to play Batman. But Robin was there as a window character for little kids like me to understand Batman's world and see into Batman's world. There's no other character in comics that went through this real-time transition. Every other character lives in a rough version of the age that they're in. Very few characters actually grow up in the comics and become something else and go from being a boy to being an adult and have their own life and become their own thing. And that's a great and completely accurate portrayal or depiction or description of Nightwing, who began as Robin. And it gives me a lot of faith. We have a man who seems to understand the character that he's going to be directing. And he'll talk about the history of the character in the movie and how Dick Grayson knows Batman's world from a unique perspective. And so he's the one whom we should see Batman's world through that lens. I was a little kid. I was born and raised in this stuff. And I think that's awesome. And Chris McKay gave another quote. I'm not going to read it out loud because there's a lot of profanity in it. But he talked about what he plans on doing with the movie technically from an action perspective. He doesn't want to do much CG. He wants to use a lot of practical effects and show, how tough and what a great fighter Nightwing is. All good news to me. Nightwing is one of the best fighters in DC and in comics. He's a natural acrobat. He's a son of two circus artists who are gymnasts and trapeze artists. He's a very good fighter. He's quick. He's efficient. He's tough. That's all good. And in an action movie with a character who has no superpowers, Nightwing doesn't have superpowers, there's no real need, I don't think, for too much CG, right? So there's going to be a lot of action and a lot of good stuff, and I love that. And I think fans will love it too. Who doesn't love a good action movie? People seeing a Nightwing movie are going to come into this expecting a good action because that's what the character's all about, right? Well, a lot of what he's about. But McKay also talked about, heart and humor and stuff like that. Dick Grayson is supposed to be a nice guy. And Chris McKay with the Lego Batman movies, those are famous for having a lot of heart and a lot of emotion, but still a lot of action and tension. And that's all great. My only concern is, animation is different from live action. So we'll see if McKay can handle doing live action stuff as well as he can handle, animated stuff. Because it's different working with, in-person live actors than it is when they're doing voices. Not that it's easy to do animation or that it doesn't take talent, it does, but it's just a different, you're just dealing with different kinds of material and a different kind of world. And so we're going to have eventually 2 Nightwings running around, one on TV, one in the movies. As you know, you may have heard Britton Thwaites has been cast as Nightwing in the Titans TV show, which is going to be in DC's digital-only streaming service, which comes out in 2018 sometime. And, they're casting that show right now, and they're going to start filming the pilot soon. And if that show is successful, it's going to be on for multiple seasons. So it'll be all going on at the same time this live-action movie comes out, ideally, maybe in 2020, 2021. Who knows? But there'll be 2 Nightwings, just like there are right now 2 Flashes with Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin, and 2 Superman, right? There's Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman on the Supergirl TV show, and Henry Cavill plays Superman in the DCEU movies. So Nightwing is going to be another character they've got 2 of running around. And it'll be interesting to see, the difference, to compare and contrast the TV version to the movie version. I think they'll both be great. I have room in my heart for both. A lot of people haven't liked the fact that DC has 2 versions of characters running around in different mediums. And I was like that at first too, but now I think it's great. And they could definitely work with it. They could just say they're alternate universes, right? Because DC's all about the multiverse, right? And having the TV and movie universes separate doesn't allow them to be shackled to each other. Like the TV show's not going to have to wait for the movie to do something to advance the plot line, and vice versa. I know that's been a problem that befell, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel show, because that's in the same universe as the movies. And I think there was one season where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had to they couldn't do much because they had to wait for the movies to do something in the universe for the show. It was that kind of stuff. And DC doesn't have to worry about that because their movies and TV shows are separate, which is great. They could just say, and if they want to connect them, they can say, oh, they're just some parallel universes. But they can exist simultaneously but not have to depend on each other to have the rhythms of their storylines flow, which is great. And I can't wait. I can't wait for Nightwing. I can't wait for Titans. Nightwing the movie, and Titans the TV show, Nightwing and that, and all the other Titans. And I just wanted to give you this quick little update about the Nightwing movie. Who knows when they're going to start production on it, but it sounds like they're still planning on it. They just have other movies they're going to get underway first. If you'd like to watch me make more videos about DC movies and TV shows and comic books and all that kind of stuff, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.